come out unscathed either.
Oh dear. Well, Phil, I got some bad news for you. It only gets worse. Through a mistake, no fault of your own, but it did appear on Facebook today that you were hosting the show. So, if it's been on Facebook, we can't disappoint. So, the rules are
Tomorrow World.
There are a couple other talk shows on this very radio station where the host gets to ask 5, 10, 15-minute leading questions. So if you want to do it in that form, to also almost make it like a Jeopardy thing, by all means, it's all fair and good.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think I'll be a capricious kind of despot and just sort of do whatever flies into my head. You know, this will be a despotic kind of setup where whatever my whim is comes up at the moment. Right now I'm declaring an egalitarian democracy.
Excellent. I don't consider it despotic. If you could do your worst, and I don't think you can do any more damage than the average moment in American culture these days.
Well, today, I mean, I had to take a trip uptown, and I was going up First Avenue, and I don't know if Dear Leader is in town today, but the UN is in session, and we had the full national security state blocking off, even down by the East River Walk. I know the first thing I noticed is the water was full of really fancy. I didn't know that the New York City Police Department had things that looked like battleships, but it was full of like firemen and police, a very warlike looking machines on the water. And then as I moved up closer, there was more and more of a presence of cops and fire dump trucks blocking the street, and the big black Lincoln navigators and guys with buzz cuts and boxy suits, and lots and lots of chubby cops. I snapped a picture with my, I don't know if it's going to come out, but I snapped a picture with my phone of a lunch truck surrounded by police when 42nd Street was cut off, apparently to be a snack area for the New York City Police Department. And so, I had to get up Second Avenue to go where I was going. So the full apparatus of the national security state was in my path today. And I had the thought that, as long as we're talking about despotic regimes, what kind of you have a beneficent king. Does he really need an army like that to protect himself from his people?
Well, what I'm told is that if you are an occupying force, and the longer you act as an occupying force, the larger the Praetorian Guard has to become.
Yeah. I mean, we've this experiment of neoliberalism, and before that colonialism, where neoliberalism is another name for colonialism. That's like they're in front of the UN with the attacks they would expect from the people of the world, whoever they imagine they're going to be with all this marine military equipment out of what are we going to have, terrorist frogmen coming out of the water there? But I mean, that's the thing, is they're justifying their budget with all these bright and shiny killer toys.
Well, I got to tell you, my favorite, just going with that arc, is when I read about Ohio University buying I don't think it's even a Humvee. It's an armored personnel carrier that's like IED proof, and it's just amazing. That,
I think the students are rightly angry about these student loan scams. Putting in debt slavery for life, but Americans have internalized the American corporate authoritarian state. So, I don't think they have a lot to worry about from grumbling students. So, but you have to wonder, what exactly are they afraid of? Or I think you're right. I think they're just in some way they have the money they justify the budget. I'd love to interview these people and ask what exactly it is that they're protecting themselves and the student body from. I remember, like, I went to an art college. I had a play commissioned by the New York, a school in North Carolina, an theatrical art school, and the dorms were equipped to be locked down because they were built in 1969, where the powers that be, as they used to call them, were terrified of the students. So at any given time, the dorms could just, have these security locks that locked the students in. That was the paranoia that and of course this was done in the 80s, where they really didn't have as much to worry about. But, I think that's how far authority would go, and especially the more paranoid authority is, as you pointed out, the more what they call security conscience, what we call, what I would say is just bristling paranoia occurs, and somehow they know that their reign is unjustifiable, and they know this deep inside, and they know the people should be at their throats. The public should be dragging them into the public square for a trial of some kind. Madame Tussauds should be knitting there and cackling, and they know that. Madame Lafarge, rather. Madame Lafarge should be sitting there cackling in the front row. They have these images in their head because they know what they've gotten away with, and they can't believe it themselves that they've gotten away with it.
Yeah.
How could the populace possibly put up with this kind of constant exploitation?
Well, if I could offer, Phil, not every community has the United Nations there to use as a rubric. But what just about every community in the United States has is they will have a July 4th celebration. And
right.
One thing that being of slight intellect, I try to just measure simple things. And one of the most interesting measurements that I've been able to track is to look at the July 4th celebrations, because this is a time when, call it the public safety, gets to bring out all their toys. And
right.
It is absolutely amazing to me how it has gone beyond the militarized police departments, and it's extending to like state colleges and on and on. I actually saw a community college with all-terrain vehicles at a fireworks display this very year in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And, I've taken, it turns out they don't like it, but in all sincerity, I would walk up to them and I would say, thank you for keeping Al-Qaeda away from this fireworks display. And they'd start out smiling, and then whenever I think it sunk in, I was watched a little bit, I guess, but that's...
Yeah, that's the thing is that this is what happens when you have the bristling apparatus of a police state in place. And the thing about it is if you look at it, we're a very violent country. There was just an attack in Washington and in Chicago, in New Orleans. There's carnage constantly because of what happened. The violence that happens in Chicago is due to economic inequity. People have guns because they feel insecure economically because they've had this tradition that's been practiced on them from the upper classes. Everything from race inequity to economic inequity. And so the more insecure we feel about each other, the more people hear about incidents of violence, the more they're likely to go collect more guns, which of course expedites the carnage. You sort of have this exponential madness shows up like that opening scene in Fantasia where Mickey Mouse is trying to contain the buckets of water that are exponentially multiplying. And that's the way this insanity happens, is it splits off and 2 becomes 4 and 4 becomes 8 and so on. And that's the nature of paranoia, it being a complex, and a complex being analogous to a disease where in a petri dish you have 2 bacteria, you have 4 bacteria, you have 6, you have 8. Paranoia takes you over the same way. And so when you see some ladies' garden club with all-terrain vehicles, you have that's the mentality that begins to set in.
you're absolutely right, Phil. It's just this continuance of doubling down and doubling down. A couple months ago or shows ago, I actually used the analogy of backgammon and saying we've doubled down so much we can't even use the backgammon cube anymore.
Right.
We've dimensionally gone so far beyond that. And what seems to be happening to me is that kind of what I would, call it the abscessing carcass of our capitalist
That is
hegemony.
a grotesque image. That is just, I've got to flush that from my mind.
Okay, well,
No, it's a good one. It's a good one, and it's because it's very striking.
well, I'm sorry, but when I start to see big pharma grinding against the NRA and grinding against the prison industrial complex, where you see these people like pushed into these corners, and then they come out in the Navy Yard and they come out in city parks in Chicago, and I just see where this parasitism is just grinding to a place where it's just going to be popping up all over. And
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, that's the thing is you have these, what we're called trickster figures. That the trickster shows up when there's a rigidity in personality, most famously exemplified by, by the physicist Pauli, who went into analysis with Young. And the trickster effect around Wolfgang Pauli was so profound that when he would show up in laboratories, he was notorious for chaos would break up, machinery would break down. This happened so many times that it was called the Pauli effect. There's one famous anecdote about like this kept on going wrong in one of the capitals of Europe when this large physics experiment was going on, and people joked that Pauli must be in town. And at that time, it was true. Wolfgang Pauli was just changing trains at the exact time, and it led him into Jungian analysis. And Jung said, well, this trickster effect that happens around you while there's constant chaos and upheaval around you is because you have a lockdown, rigid personality. If you look at the human psyche, this is when the trickster figure comes up to essentially usurp, the fool with the putting on the king's crown. And so this effect we're going to see, but in America, these are terrible tricksters that are heavily armed, that are committing awful chaos, and it's a cry from deep inside. I mean, the metaphor you used a minute ago, it showed a putrefying corpse. Of course, when you have that kind of memory, when in the culture you have, images of zombies shambling the streets, and as my friend John Stepling likes to point out, that's the ruling class saying this is the uprising of the poor, and you have to mow them down with guns. Yes, on another level of that's the empire itself. That when something has come to its end and it's time to return it to the ground, for we to return to the mulch from which we came, for the putrefaction to go to the compost heap, and that's where the seeds of a new paradigm will dream and then flower and come to fruition. That's the metaphor. So when you bring up the images of the empire as a rotting corpse, yes, the other side of that is rebirth. But as you said, we have this wall of pharmaceuticals that blocks people from their own soul. We have the apparatus of a national security state. And these are devices, if you look at, being walled off from life.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to tell you that I thought it was absolutely amazing that, although I don't watch TV, and here come all the comments, but I will every now and again follow a link to YouTube. And of all people, Louis C.K. was on somebody's show. I think he was on with one of the late night shows, and he went off on how he hates cell phones, and he said it was because we never have an unscripted, unattended moment. And he said what happens is whenever you really get to experience the solitude, sometimes it leads to great sadness. But after you can expurgate the great sadness, there's joy. And these are states of consciousness that this is exactly what our pharmaceutical industry, the mainstream media, they are, and even just the, we've got an app for everything to keep us from experiencing ourselves.
So this is a kind of tyranny by distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, in psychology, you would call it a manic compensation. As the comic that you mentioned before was saying that and that's the thing is I've worked with comedians. I did a show in Brooklyn about 3 weeks ago with it was 4 comedians and I was the philosopher on stage with them. And to work in, comics have manic personalities when they're sad though when nobody's around them. The ones I've written for example, they're just not really a lot of fun to travel around with. But when they get on stage or when there's somebody around them giving them approval, they're on and they're fun. But it's a constant veering between a kind of a sodden sorrow of the underworld and a manic compensation from that. Most of them, if you take their stories, they usually had mothers that they had to try to amuse. I mean, the great actor Marlon Brando's mother was an alcoholic that he always amused by doing imitations of the neighbors around him. So usually people that have that sense know all about manic compensation. So the culture, which is where one aspect of it that keeps us in the consumer state, keeps us in constant, enveloped in this hologram of distraction. Where now it's come down to us on our phones. If people are on the streets of New York, it was bad enough where a cell phone would hijack your mind, and so you really didn't notice what was around you. You didn't have time to linger on the faces on the street as they went by, or anything that was going on around you, because all your attention was to the person you're speaking with. Now, people don't even look up. They're at their appliances. They're walking down the street. And this is very linked to corporate consumerism, because if people had the ability to delay gratification, the entire economic setup would collapse. If people stopped and said, "Do I really need this expensive purchase I'm going to make? Do I really need to be in debt? Am I enslaved to that?" The whole economy would no longer function. So since the time of Edward Bernays on, we have this culture of desire and instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is very true. But what it is, it's set up a prison of distraction. It's a labyrinth where we can't see our way out of, and it's as solid as any this virtual reality, this hologram we're on. Since it is cyclical in nature, to us it appears as profound and it creates the obstruction of any other wall. Even though we can break, like the analogy of an elephant calf that is chained all its life by the leg, and when you take the chains off, it goes no further than the chain. And that's where we find ourselves there in front of these constant obstructions that look pleasurable to us.
Well, we've all learned to enjoy our bonds, but you know what, Phil? If this is not a bad time, one thing I've been wondering, and you kind of hinted at it when you said that you've been out writing for comedians. One thing that maybe we could just explore the mechanics. I follow you on Facebook. I try really, really hard, and I think I succeed reading most of your posts. I've seen you almost prolific. You seem to be able to put up a very well written comment, at least one every day. I see fewer and fewer articles like on the common dreams and so forth.
Well, that's because the baby is here, and I'm writing. Being the primary caretaker during the day, when the baby's asleep, I put August to bed, and I sit down to write a piece. And I've got to get better organized about collecting these pieces and then putting together for something for Common Dreams and Counterpunch again. And I'm working towards that. But right now, I'm just I'm kind of in a whole new terrain.
Well, and it's a good thing, and I think we're all gonna end up thanking August. But in the meantime, my question to you is, could you explore, because I'm sure you've thought about it, where you go between the written and the spoken word. Now, you're writing for other people, and I know in your past when you had more time and less less caregiving and more, walking around time that you would explore the spoken word in a lot of different areas. Given your prolific writing ability, how would you describe how the written word helps the spoken word and the spoken word helps your writing?
That's an interesting question. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is the troubadour tradition, where essentially after the Norman conquest of England, good poetry, heartfelt poetry, was banned. That you had court poets that wrote essentially laudatory poetry about the king, about the church. But there's people out there that find that intolerable. It doesn't suit their nature, and so you began getting these wandering troubadours that created things like the Grail legends was created in the troubadour tradition. And in the troubadour tradition, that during the apprenticeship you could not write your own material, and you had to memorize verse. And so you went around in this tradition and you memorized a lot of verse. And what that did is it inculcated into the mind how verse operated. Now, if you read Shakespeare, for example, you read iambic pentameter, this it penetrates, I'm going to use the wall analogy again, it penetrates the wall of the ego and gets right to the soul. So when you have a spoken tradition as opposed to a written tradition, when you have a written tradition, you begin moving towards the poetry of, say, William Carlos Williams, which looks great on the page, and is even composed, like Cummings and others, to move towards the page. But before that tradition, which we've moved back to, we've become more of a verbal people, and and there are attributes for both. I mean, when you have the troubadour tradition, when you have the spoken word like we have in presence, you're out in the eros of life. You're out in the libido, and the audience is there, and you can feel them, which has had its advantages and disadvantages. There's a tendency to pander when the audience is there, and you can feel their disapproval. And there's a tendency to want to tap dance and trunkle for their opinion, for their approval. But there's also the isolation of the writer's life, where the criteria of your soul has to come out regardless of whatever anybody thinks of it. So I think there's an essence where there's a part of ourselves where we seek authenticity, not only by artistic and poetic images, that there's an unseen part of ourself that is, which James Hillman called the thought of the heart, and that thought of the heart longs to be in what he called the soul of the world, and we're lonely for each other.
Yeah. Before we jump away from this topic, because I think you're really well suited to offer some insights on it, Phil, is that what you alluded to, and what comes to mind when you talk about the resurgence of this getting on to almost a century ago, like when you had the Poem of the Cid, the Song of Roland, and the memorization of the troubadour to know it and then know how to deviate to really put in some subversive undertones to the reciting of this, and now even updating it to being able to recite some of the famous speeches of Shakespeare and Coleridge. And what does this do? What kind of discipline to memorize these things and then effectively recite them? What do we gain when we get this proficiency?
I think there's. Well, one technique of learning how to write, I believe I read James Baldwin did this. It wasn't Baldwin, but it was that he copied the writing of other writers he admired, and you just so that there's you just copy it down. What this does is it puts the structure in place. It's like learning musical chords, and then you can go you can go and you have arrangements like Ornette Coleman. It can become free jazz. Or it can be a very structured type of melody. I think that's when you're young, you pummel the young with technique, even though they're going to hate it, and they're going to rebel, but they're going to come off after a while. They're going to know the enemy, which is the old man that insists they express themselves in his style, but they will know the enemy. The trouble with the young person that just says, "Oh, all those old guys are dead. I don't need to know him." He's not, he's really not going to come into his own. So I think it's important if you're going to build upon things to at least know what's been done before, and it puts sort of, it allows you. For example, I became a much better writer. I'll go into slight bit of biography. I don't like to do it all that much, but when I went to college and I really forced myself to take grammar and composition because my high school teachers didn't really care what was going on, and there was a professor that noticed that I had a flair for writing. I really just threw myself into learning grammar and composition, the syntax and grammatical structure. And I found the ability to express myself, even when I was writing letters to my girlfriend, greatly expanded from just having that technique. Then, of course, you go through a period where, you want to write like James Joyce, and you sit down and every word you hate that you put together because you want to have that. And so once you get over the self-loathing period, and there's literally this misery in you, it really starts off as a misery. I think this is something writers suffer from a lot. You go, I feel too bad to write today. I'm really coming, especially with sleep deprivation and having an infant in the house. I get up and I say, I really am too sleep deprived and feel too awful to write today. But you do it anyway, right? Because you have to do it anyway. You have to put one word after another. And the thing about it is when you have to write, or when you have to create art, or when you have to express yourself, it shows up the same way. It shows up as a misery. And it shows up, and this misery is not going to be alleviated, and maybe not even then, until you express yourself. And so, that's the way the soul communicates. I don't know if you did you read the poem by Rumi that I put up yesterday on Facebook?
I do believe I saw it. I've been, I got to, well, I may not have seen it, Phil, because I got a laptop problem that I don't even want to get into. All I'm going to say is Windows 8, you suck. And
your soul just had to say that as we.
Oh, it just felt good to let that out. But I'm just having a horrible time. But so no, let's assume I didn't read it, please.
I'm okay. I'd love to read it for you.
Would you please?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it on Facebook. A lot of people put stuff on my page, which I'm going through now.
Damn you, commenters!
So I'm looking for the particular post. Scrolling down, I am in the virtual reality place I was talking about earlier, and oh no, Facebook just did that thing where it jumps you down the page where you haven't asked it to. And you don't even know where. You're talking about being lost in a labyrinth right now?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Oh, you got it?
Nah.
Okay, because I'm going to threaten the listeners that if you can't find it, that I've got all this
Here it is.
really Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I'll just read what I put up about it, and then I'll get to the Rumi poem. This is the post I put up. A clutch of miseries are engendered from an habitual dance of avoidance with legitimate suffering, which is in fact a flight from life itself, with its panoply of overwhelming impersonal ego-negating grandeur and the nettling quotidian personal miseries that conspire with fate to have one remain grounded in one's humanity. An empire, like the ego of a narcissist or the mode of mind of an addict, will avoid any chance of a rendezvous with reality, and its citizens will internalize the dismal criteria. The corporate empire demands one have an agenda, not a life. The hours of one's life are usurped. Time itself is rendered a prison routine. Act not afraid. Work makes you free, exhorted new arrivals from a sign upon the gates of Auschwitz. Antithetically, it is an act of subversion to open one's heart to the soul of creation. Rumi avers in his poem The Guest House, this human being is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out some new delight. The door, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from the beyond. That's Rumi, as translated by Coleman Barks.
And I really enjoy that, Phil. That, if I could, it just begs one last question about the mechanics of this. And one thing I always enjoy, there's a unique enjoyment to hearing an author read their own works. I always thought it was like getting the full impact when it was poetry. But even when an author will read a passage of their own prose, there's always something special that's imparted there. And how do you feel about that experience when you do get to hear the author read their own work?
Oh, it brings a whole new dimension to it. I have tape, in the 80s I found tapes of Wallace Stevens reading his stuff, of T.S. Eliot, and I would listen to it in the car as I drove great distances. Oh yeah, I still do that. And I think there's a whole new dimensionality. Actually, when I edit my pieces I'm going to send out, I put them on the talk application of my Mac for the reason that I can hear them in a different way, and also, there might be even a proofreading error that I'll miss or something like that. And if something doesn't sound right, I can go back and correct it. So, yes, I think the voice dimension is very important. I hearing it through, it's. I wish we could smell it. Remember those smell around theaters from the 70s?
Oh, goodness.
That's the most primal part of the brain. My son right now, from the time of his birth, he's 6 months now away from the most acute smell he will ever have. Because that's in place to smell mommy and daddy. That infants, as newborns, can smell when somebody else lays on the bed and it's not their mother, but they can smell their mother's scent on the bed. So our nose, from the time we're born, begins to deteriorate. And if you've ever wondered why, you get such profound memories and such resonant feelings around smells, it's because it gets to the parts of our brain that were there at the beginning.
And you know what? I know I've really dwelt on it, but I think it's important, Phil. When we can certainly. I've got pages of stuff like I've been going after Fukushima and depleted uranium, and the single dimension of corporations. But luckily, we still are humans, and there's a spirit there. And I think one of the things that is disturbing as the trends in our culture might be, we can actually counter that and create something within ourselves, even with the new technology, that we can replicate, I guess, what was done a century ago with the classic humanities, that actually helps turn us into humans, using, as you said, like turning on the voice in your MacBook and listening to your prose in your own voice, listening to others in their voice.
I hate to interrupt, but indulge me. Let me read something else I put up on Facebook on this very subject. I sat down and it was right in front of me as you were saying it, like a synchronicity. Do you mind?
Oh, I'm proverbially all ears.
It starts off with a quote from Bob Dylan. This land is your land, this land is my land, sure, but the world is run by those who never listen to music anyway, Bob Dylan. At the general room, most everyone, no matter what comforting illusion to the contrary we cling to, cannot know for certain what course of events will come to pass, what developments will propel one's life from event to event, or how one will respond and be altered by the embrace and buffeting of circumstance. Although the business and political class insist they can create an earthly dominion where doubt is banished and happy destiny is assured, it is artists, writers, poets, and musicians who are called upon to set the record straight by disturbing counterfeit tranquility. The worst obstruction of these art forms is not overt censorship, but timidity, often disguised as irony or career savvy on the part of individual artists. Art brings balm by tormenting smug assumptions. It brings the embrace of bracing realities by leveling comfort zones. It is essential to know how limited your habitual thoughts become before you can open yourself to the vastness within you. A vastness that is an analog of the living song of creation made flesh by means of the enfolding phenomenon known as you, and that you apprehend as the unfolding phenomenon known as me. How fortunate we are when we happen upon, even inadvertently and unwillingly, upon this conviction, sundering, heart-opening song. Kabir averred the following on the subject. The flute of interior time is played whether we hear it or not. What we mean by love is the sound of it coming in. Where else have you heard a sound like this? And so that gets into the essence of what you were talking about, Kabir's music of interior time.
And I think this is the power, Phil, that kind of spirit that's in us is the only answer to the unyielding cynicism for the just the blank culture that is, kind of just like crushing all around us. And
well, yeah, but you have to, as Remy was saying, invite the blankness in, because in that very blankness is a possibility. It's a Zen-like opening of silence. So right now, naturally people are alienated. They're mortified by what's going on. It's a gasp we're having collectively, and then when we're not doing it, we have all these distractions because we kind of know that this paradigm is at an end. It's come to the point where we can go a little bit farther, maybe an empire 20 or 30 years, maybe. We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody can predict that. But we know it doesn't work for us anymore. We know we feel alienated. We long for common communion. So inside, though, we're going to feel all kinds of tumult. There are going to be moments of joy. There's going to be moments of panic. I mean, the Greeks believed that the Greek god Pan, where it comes from, it's the root, for example, of panorama, of panoply. That the Greeks believed that when Pan showed up in the marketplace in the agora, panic would break up. And Pan being an ugly god, and his mother, he was so ugly his mother didn't even want to look at him. And so, he was taken by his father Hermes and brought to Olympus and placed before the gods, and they all looked at him and they laughed and they were delighted by this half-man, half-goat, furry-ass creature. And that's where the word, where the gods standing around him, panorama, comes from. So even the gods themselves will stop and laugh at this idea that on one side of it is panic and the other part of it is animal grace. It is the vitality of the spirit that comes through us by animal magnetism. And so right now, the other side of this blankness, the part of Pan's mother that turned away, this nymph that he was not attractive enough for us, that's what our mortification is about right now. And when we face it, we should have panic. But panic, look at the other side of it. Look at what this panic does. It's an infusion of energy that we are channeling. And like you said earlier, the corporate state turns it into a kind of consumer mania, a kind of instant distraction where we feel like if I don't answer this text right now, if I don't go and press this link right now, if I don't switch channels right now, if I don't buy this consumer good right now, something, what is going to happen? I have to have this now. And so, we've been induced to live in the glories of the eternal present.
Mm-hmm.
And what that happens, though, is, there's another side of the eternal present. There's the time of the gods, which we live in because the gods are eternal. What consumerism does, it's a kind of hubris that makes us feel like we're gods, that time does not apply to us. But the other side of that, there is a grim side where it's almost like in those vampire movies where at the end of at the end where the sunlight comes in and the vampire turns to dust and ash before us.
Well, I'm still trying to embrace the words that gave vision to what's happening down on Manhattan's First Avenue, where sort of like the sullen nothingness of our own government and all its black toys and trappings.
Right.
They're literally bringing like war to a building that was created to promote peace, and it's all wrapped up in just the dead politics.
Right. Well, what's one of my earliest memories were growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, like I did, and coming of age, witnessing the civil rights movements, which came into my house by way of my father, who was working in a scrap metal yard, but he enjoyed photography like you do, and he began just going out and doing photography, and pretty soon he opened a photography studio, and then when the civil rights movement started happening in the Deep South, he began photographing it, and Life magazine started picking up his pictures, and he became Black Star Syndicate and Life magazine's go-to guy during that era. And so I would see him come in the house after his clothes smelling of tear gas and him shaken up by Phil Connors, who was the police commissioner. They called him the chief. I believe he was the chief safety officer, the chief of public safety, because he was both the fire department chief and the police chief. Hence the pictures of fire hoses that are iconic, some of which my father took, of civil rights activists being cartwheeled down the street by the force of those hoses. So when I think of these images, like when I see this on First Avenue today and these walls of blue and all these obstructions, what comes into my mind are these old civil rights gospel songs like "Ain't Nobody Gonna Turn Me Round" or "We Shall Not Be Moved," I remember my father walking in the door singing that song to himself because he had heard it. He had heard civil rights marchers singing it when they were facing hoses and dogs. Just like a tree sitting by the water, we shall not be moved. So so when we come up, when I see that on First Avenue like I did today, there is a part of me that knows that the gospel and blues was created by hitting that wall of Jim Crow, by hitting that wall of oppression. That a lot of the real estate, a lot of the buildings in Birmingham and Atlanta, where my family moved to when I was 10 years old, were built by a company in Atlanta called Atlanta Brickworks. Because if you were a black man on the street, you had to have a letter from a white man that said he employed you. Otherwise, just like the prison industrial complex today, you'd be picked up and put in a labor gang who would be given to local business to work for free. And this practice did not end, by the way, till the run up to the Second World War, when the fascists in Europe started making propaganda about, well, they criticized us because we live in racial superiority, but look what happened in the South of America. And then FDR put the powers that be in the South on notice that had to end. So it did not end till the 1940s in the United States that we had de facto slavery, building the infrastructure of the South. And so I bring that up to the point that what is, the thing that I'm leaving America at some point. I have dual citizenship because of a quirk of history where I have German citizenship as well. So I have dual citizenship, and one at some point when my family can afford it, before my child gets into the education and healthcare system of the United States, we will be moving. We'll be moving to Germany. But I think at this time, when I think back on what I appreciate about America, it's musical tradition, and that's what it moves me. These songs, because they're connected to early experience for me, as I said, that memory of my father. So, but this part of the soul, we have that. What I'm trying to say is, there's parts inside of us that know about those barriers, like I witnessed on First Avenue, and it knows that song penetrates that, because we can try to put up those walls around our heart. We can try. We have this national security stuff called an ego that it has this ridiculous assumption that it is protecting us when it's built inside this apparatus that keeps us from engaging in the eros of life. But in there, we also have gospel choirs. We also have Lead Belly creating this music from inside prison walls. We have this ability. We know how to navigate this terrain and turn this horrible criteria into beauty.
Well, you know what, Phil? We have managed to get ourselves down to just about 2 minutes to go, and once again, I thank you so much. Where I think you've given more good ideas on how to break out of this. I got to tell you right now, it is such a scary, dull silence that we're in this country right now. It's sort of like this calm before I don't know what kind of maelstrom is going to be unleashed. But the tools that you share with the Spirit, I think, are very helpful and very welcome to me, and I hope the rest of the listeners out there.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. And I think the calm you're talking about is like, kind of the somnambulance that Democrats, when there's a Democratic president, puts people into. I mean, the liberal class would be bellowing if what happened under Obama would have happened under a Romney or a McCain. And so, the liberal class has always been the buffer zone against true leftist reform. And so, part of that silence, yes, there's the national security state we have in place on First Avenue. Part of that is a wall of liberal hypocrisy.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, and I've dealt with it before, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it, maybe together, about how Obama, his real agenda is to destroy every vestige left of FDR, the great sellout, the grand bargain, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
We're going down the river, the Hudson, the East River, whatever, but we're getting flushed in the next couple of years. But once again, Phil, thank you so much, and I hope we get to enjoy some radio together real soon.
I enjoyed it as always. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
Bye.